In this lecture, we are going to work on fetching all the courses from the Firebase database with the help of NGRX effect. So let's go to VS Code, and first let's go to CourseService.ts file. And in here, we are going to create a method. I'm going to call it as readCourses. And what this method is going to do is, it is going to make an API call to our Firebase database in order to fetch all the courses from the courses collection. So for that, again, using this HTTP client instance, we are going to use get method on that to fetch all the courses from the courses collection. And to this get method, we need to pass the URL. For the URL, here I'm going to use backticks, and inside that I'm going to use template literal syntax. And again, we are going to read the database URL from Firebase config. So using this environments object, we have this Firebase config property, and inside that we have database URL. After this, we are going to use a slash, and then we are going to specify the collection name from where we want to fetch all the data. So the collection name is courses, and here we also need to specify .json extension. Okay, and this get method, it is going to return us an observable. Let's go ahead and let's return that observable from here. And to make it more readable, let me move it to separate lines. Okay, so this here is going to return us all the courses from the courses collection in our Firebase database. All right, let's save the changes here. Now we are going to create some actions. So in the state folder, we have this courses state.ts. Okay, we need to go to courses action.ts, and here we are going to create some actions. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create an action, and I'm going to call this action as read courses. Okay, and to create this action, we are going to use this create action function. And to this, first we need to specify the type. So the type is going to be a string value inside that. Since we are going to apply this action on the courses state, I'll specify courses, and here I'll simply say read courses. And with this action, we are not going to dispatch any payload. In the same way, I'm going to create another action called readCouresSuccess. And here for the type, I'm going to specify readCouresSuccess. Okay. Now we are going to create an effect for this. So here, let me retract this, and let's go ahead and let's create an effect, and let's call it read courses. And to create an effect, again, we are going to use this create effect function. To this, we are going to pass a callback function, and inside this, first of all, we are going to filter an action. So here we will say this dot actions dot pipe, and to this pipe operator, we are going to use of type, and here we are going to filter read course action. So read courses action, we are going to import it. Okay, once we have filtered the action, we are going to use merge map, and to this merge map, we are going to pass a callback function, and this callback function is going to receive the payload for this filtered action. Now, for this read course action, we are not passing any payload, so we are not going to get any payload, but still I'm going to specify this actions here, which is supposed to receive the payload of the action. And from within this method, we are going to call the courses service, and from there we are going to invoke this read courses method. And we know that this is going to return us an observable. We are going to return that observable from here, and from here also let's return. And on this, we are going to use pipe method, and to this pipe method, to this pipe operator, we are going to pass the map operator, and this map operator is going to receive the observable data. So this read course method, it is going to return us an observable, and when that observable will emit the data, this callback function of this map operator is going to receive that data. Okay. Now, for now, what we'll try to do is we'll try to log that data. So here we'll say console.log and let's log the data. Let's save the changes. And from where we are going to dispatch this read courses, let's say when the courses component is rendered for the first time. So here we are going to courses component.ts file, and inside that we have this ngOnInit. So from here we are going to dispatch the create course action. So for that, let's say this dot store dot dispatch, and we are going to dispatch create course action, and we also need to invoke it like this. So okay, it should be read course and not create course. So we are going to import this read course and we are going to dispatch this read course. Okay, we can remove this create course from here. Let's save the changes. Let's see if we have any error. So here we have an error. Let's go back to VS Code and let's go to course effect. So what we are going to do here is, here I'm also going to set dispatch to false. Let's save the changes. And now if we go to the terminal, now our application is compiled successfully. Now let me open developer console. So here we have an error and it says, okay, let's go back to CourseService.ts, and here it should be /. Okay, let's save the changes now. Let's go to our application, and now we do not have any error, and you will see that the response which we are getting, there we have an object. In that object we have a key, and for that key the value is an object, and in that object we have the author, the description, the image, the price, and the title. So these 5 properties we need. Along with that, we also need an ID property in our course object, and we want to set that ID property with this value. So for that, what we are going to do is, on the observable which this get method is going to return, on that I'm going to use the pipe operator again. Inside that, we are going to use the map operator. To this, let's pass a callback function, and this callback function is going to receive the data which this get observable is going to return. So the observable which this get method will return, it will emit some data. So that data we will receive for this data parameter. Now in order to use this map, we also need to import it. So let's go and let's import it from RxJS. And now what we are going to do is, we are going to write a logic to create an object with the ID property also. So here I'm going to create a variable. I'll call it as courses, and it is going to be of type course array. So to use this course, we are going to import it. It is going to be of type course array, and initially it is going to be an empty array. Now we know that in this data we are going to receive an object. So we are going to loop over that object, and to loop over that object we are going to use for in loop. So here we will say let key. So this key is going to receive the property in that object in data. Okay, so this data is going to receive an object. In that object, we will have properties for each course, and those properties will be assigned with the course object. So we are looping over that object using this for in loop. And here we are going to create a new object. So here I'm going to create an object called course. And to create this object, what we are going to do is, we are going to extract all the properties from data of key. This data of key is going to return us the course object. From that course object, we are extracting all its properties like author, title, description, image, etc. And then we are going to add an ID property, and we are going to set that ID property with the value of the key. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to push this course object inside this courses array. So here I'll say courses.push, and I'm going to push the course object. Finally, from within this map method, we are going to return courses. Okay, with this, let's save the changes. And now here we can say that this method here, it is going to return us an observable of type course array, right? And actually, I need to cut it from here and I need to specify it after the parenthesis. All right, let's save the changes now and let's go to our application again. And now you will see an array has been logged, and in that array we have an object as 0th index. If I expand that object, there we have the author, the description, the ID, the image, price, and title property. So if you see, the ID is basically the key which we were using earlier. So now we have a proper course object. So now what we are going to do is, let's go to CourseEffect.ts, and from there I will remove this dispatch. And now from here, we are going to dispatch the read course success. I'm going to dispatch this action. And let's also go to course action.ts. And when we are dispatching this action, with that, we are also going to specify the payload. So for that, let's specify props here. And in the payload, we are going to pass an object where we will have a courses property of type courses array. Sorry, it should be course array. Okay, and let's also invoke it. Let's save the changes now. And if we go to the effect, so when we are dispatching this read courses success action, with this, we also need to pass the payload where we need to have the courses property. And to this courses property, we are going to assign this data because we know in this data, we are going to receive an array of course objects, right? Now we are going to handle this read courses success action in the reducer. So let's go to the reducer, and there I'm going to also handle read course success. So here using this on method, we are going to handle read courses success action, and when this action is dispatched, we are going to execute this callback function, which is going to receive the current state as well as the payload which has been dispatched with that action. And from within this callback function, we are going to return a new state. In that new state, first we are going to extract all the properties from the current state, and then we are going to set the courses state with the payload data. So this action, it is going to be an object, and in that object we will have a courses property which is storing a list of courses. And with this, if we save the changes and if we go to our application, we have an error in courses.effect.ts line number 40. So courses.effect.ts line number 40. Okay. So from here, we also need to return this action. And now if we go to our application, now you can see the courses is being loaded from the database. If I refresh the page, the course is being loaded from the database. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to dispatch the is loading. So I also want to show the loading indicator when we are loading the courses from the database. So before we are sending this request, I'm going to show the loading indicator, and once we have received the response, I'm going to hide the loading indicator. So here I'll set it to false, and I'm also going to use catch error. So what I'll do is I'll copy this catch error from here and I'll paste it here. So the logic is going to be same. The only thing which I'm going to change here is I'm going to change the error message, and here I'll say cannot fetch all courses. Let's save the changes. Let's go to our application now. And if I reload the page, we should see the loading indicator. And once the course is loaded, we should see the courses and the loading indicator should be hidden. So now we are reading all the courses from the database, and we can also create new courses. So let's try to create a new course. So again, from here, let me copy the title. Let's paste it in the title box. Let's go ahead and let's copy the description. Let's go ahead and let's paste it in the description box. Let's say author is Jane Smith. Price is 89.99. And let's also select an image. So here we have this Node.js image. I'll select that and let's click on this create course button. And let's wait for that course to be created. Now here remember that when we have created this course, it has not been fetched from the database. In the database, we created this course, and once that course is created in the database, we are simply changing the state. Right? We are changing the state by calling this readCourseSuccess action. So what it is going to do is it has the in-memory data. That data it is adding for this courses state. So it has not fetched that data from database. It has not fetched the newly added course detail from the database. Instead, it has added it from the in-memory data which we have inside this data variable. So here, after creating the new course, we are not making a GET request to fetch all the courses again. Instead, since the state is updated after the course is created, we are simply rendering that new state in the UI. I hope this is clear. Alright, so in this lecture, we learned how we can fetch data from the backend server. In the next lecture, we will work on updating an existing course in the database. This is all from this lecture. If you have any questions from this lecture, then feel free to ask it. Thank you for listening and have a great day.